Welcome back everyone. Today's look is this peachy, intense smoky eye. So I've got a clean moisturised face to begin with. For foundation I'm using Too Faced Born This Way foundation and I'm using my Duo Fibre brush by Crown Brush to apply this to my skin. This foundation is a medium coverage and it's definitely buildable to full coverage. On my skin this foundation gives a nice dewy finish, so I do need to powder it down the centre of my face because I am oily. If you've got quite dry skin then you'll probably find this gives you a really nice natural glow. Now for this foundation you really do only need a very small amount. I don't even get through one pump to do my entire face. But if you want that full coverage then if you layer the product you may only need 1 to 1.5 pumps. Next I'm going in with Mascara Beauty Contour Pan and the colour I'm using is Ash. I'm working that into the hollows of my cheeks using my Real Techniques contour brush. To make sure it's seamless I'm just going back over the top of that with my foundation brush. On a concealer brush I'm taking that same contour shade down the sides of my nose. The reason I'm using a concealer brush is because I get more precision with it. The brush is flat so it's got a nice pointed edge which allows me to draw a precise line down the sides of my nose. The purpose of this is just to define the shape of your nose a little bit more. If you use a brush that's too thick, it's just going to make that area look very muddy. Once I've drawn the line in place, I'm just patting the product in with my finger. This ash shade is great because it doesn't leave you looking like you've been rubbing your nose in the sandpit or the mud. Next I'm taking another Mascara Beauty product. This one is called Amber, and on another concealer brush that's slightly larger, I'm applying that underneath the eyes. I'm using this to draw a little bit more light at the under eye area but also down the sides of the nose below the colour Ash that we've already applied. This colour I'm using is actually the colour I would use if I didn't have a natural colour to my skin after holiday. I only want a very natural highlight to the skin. I don't want it to be too obvious that I'm wearing contour and highlight. I'm also applying a small amount down the centre of the nose and on the chin. To set those in place I'm going to use my Soap & Glory Kick-Ass Concealer Powder. And on a soft blending brush I'm working that underneath the eye to set the highlight in place. Now to go over the rest of the skin I'm going to be using this new Kiko Wet and Dry Powder Foundation. This is suitable for normal to oily skin and gives you a matte finish. This foundation does contain an SPF of 30 so it's great if you're going to be outside because it's going to give your skin that little bit of protection. But many foundations that contain an SPF that's quite high does tend to flash back. Now I have tested this with the flash on my camera and it didn't flash back, but that doesn't mean that's not going to happen in all circumstances. The positives of this foundation is it's non-comedogenic so it's not going to clog your pores. It's very buildable and it can be used wet or dry so you can use it with a brush or a beauty blender. I've gone ahead off camera and filled my brows in using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. It's what I always use so you've seen it 100 times. I'm just setting my hairs in place using the Clear Brow Gel also by Anastasia Beverly Hills. To neutralise the skin and prepare the eyelid for eyeshadow I'm going to apply Soft Ochre Paint Pot by MAC. I'm using my Blank Canvas Cosmetics E24 flat shader brush to apply this over the entire eyelid up to the brow bone and also underneath the lower lash line. Now I'm going to take my beloved Sweet Peach palette by Too Faced Cosmetics. I was super excited to get this palette and as you can see the colours in it are absolutely stunning. The first colour I'm using is White Peach and on a clean E24 flat shader brush I'm applying that underneath the eyebrow hair on the brow bone. The next colour I'm using is called Candied Peach and on my E25 round top blending brush I'm working that into the socket of the eye. Using small circular motions, I'm diffusing that colour from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner of the eye and we're keeping that just above where the eye naturally creases. A little tip when using a blending brush is to hold the handle halfway down the brush towards the end of the brush. This is going to allow you to have a really light hand and that's what you need when you're blending colours. The next colour I'm using from the palette is called Summer Yum and the brush I'm using with it is my E23 pencil brush. Using the very tip of that brush, I'm concentrating that colour on the outer edge and pulling what's left of the colour on the bristles through the socket. Then I'm going back in with my E25 blending brush and I'm softening that colour. We've already got that warm colour going through the socket and we're using this shade to deepen the inner area of that socket. So we're creating a gradient from an intense colour to a lighter colour towards that brow bone. And as with all looks, you want to blend that colour out, reapply it and then blend it away again. Remember, sandwiching those colours is going to build up the colour intensity but also the longevity of that eyeshadow. The next colour I'm using is called Charmed I'm Sure. This is slightly cooler than the last colour that we used. And on that same pencil brush, we're applying this to the outer V. So we will be overlapping the last two shades on that outer edge, but we're going to be pulling that down towards the lash line. Then using a blending brush and working that directly over that V shape, blending the colour. Again, the reason we do this is to build up intensity, but also we're going to be going in with an even darker shade, and that's going to give us a gradient from very dark to warmer brown, and then finally to that peach shade that we've got going through the socket, and then to that lightest colour that we've got on the brow bone, which is white peach. Now you want to take your time with blending, as you do want it to be as seamless as possible. Apply the colours in light washes and build up. For the lid, I'm going to be using this colour called Nectar. And on a clean flat shader brush, I'm applying this to the mobile eyelid. So that means from the lash line up to where your eye naturally creases. That's the mobile part, it's the part that moves and blinks. I'm just redefining that outer edge with what's left on the bristles. I'm now taking the darkest shade in the palette called Tempting, and on an angled brush I'm going to define that outer V shape. I must say I was a little bit disappointed with this colour, the pigment isn't very strong at all. So if you're looking for something super dark, then I would go with an alternative eyeshadow. I'm going in with a clean E25 blending brush, and I'm working that backwards and forwards over everything so it's nice and seamless. For liner, I'm using Bobbi Brown's Long Wear Gel Liner in the colour Black Ink. And the brush I'm using is an ordinary paintbrush from Hobbycraft. To create the eyeliner, we want to do a nice crisp line all the way across the eyelid from the inner corner of the eye to the outer corner. Then as you get to the outer corner, you can start to thicken that wing. This isn't any different from an eyeliner that I've done a million times over, and I do have a tutorial up close on how to do eyeliner. You'll notice that I always use the same brush to create my winged liner. I love that the bristles on this particular paintbrush are very long. Having longer bristles means there's more movement and it does the work for you over the shape of your eye. Using the very tip of the bristles, we're going to create a nice sharp point at the very inner corner of the eye. And then using the belly of the bristles, we're going to apply that underneath our top lash line. And then we're going to repeat that along our lower lash line to completely frame the eye, and this is going to give us a really nice inky black feline appearance to our eyes. When we get to the very outer corner of the lower lash line, you want to make sure you connect that with the outer corner of the wing. Going back to my angled liner brush and some more of that Tempting eyeshadow, I'm going to deepen that outer socket. We're creating a very subtle cut crease on that outer edge, and once the eyeliner is in place it's easy to see whereabouts we need to darken, so that's why I'm going back in with the colour now. On a pencil brush, I'm running Summer Yum underneath the lower lashes. I'm also extending that all the way along the wing. If you prefer the nice crisp look, you don't have to take it as far as the wing. I wanted something a bit more diffused, that's why I'm taking it from the tear duct area backwards. Next you want to apply some mascara to your top and bottom lashes. I'm still using the very same tube that I first bought of this Velvet Noir mascara, and it's lasted ages. As we are going to be applying falsies, make sure you pay a bit more attention to your bottom lashes as you want them to balance out. The false lashes that I'm using here are by House of Lashes, and these are Noir Fairy. Again, I do have a tutorial up close on how to apply false eyelashes to yourself. If you've not tried this style before, you should definitely give them a go. In keeping with the peach theme, I'm using Illamasqua's blusher in Lover. This is a matte finish blusher and it's absolutely beautiful. I use it every single day. You'll see I use this blusher a lot. It's because peach tones really do suit my skin tone. Pinks tend to look a little bit girly and a bit young on me. For lips, I'm using this Hydra Matte lipstick by Gerard Cosmetics, and this one is in Aphrodite. These liquid lipsticks are really long wearing and they're really difficult to get off. Lastly, I added a small amount of my Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. Hey everyone, so I hope you've enjoyed my intense smoky eye. This look is suitable for prom or just an evening out, especially during the summer months with the peachy colour. It really suits a tan. With a lot of the reality TV shows here in the UK, lots of the girls are wearing this kind of intense smoky eye with a cut crease on the outer edge. Lots of my clients have been requesting it. It's something I see a lot on makeup forums and also all over Instagram. There are different ways you can do this. You can do it with a piece of scotch tape there to get that really nice crisp look. I personally prefer the diffused look, that's why I've gone under there with the colour right up to where we've applied the eyeliner. If you're using a lot of eyeshadows that fall down, then you may want to apply a shadow shield or do your foundation afterwards. As the prom season is coming up, I will be doing a couple more prom tutorials, so if you've got any colour requests in terms of eyeshadow shades, then please leave them in the comment section below and I will do my best to add them to my list. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll know I was on the hunt for this palette. As soon as it came out, it completely sold out here in the UK and it was really difficult to get hold of. Fortunately for me, Too Faced did send me the product, so I want to thank them for sending it to me. As you can see, it's got an array of beautiful colours in it, so no wonder it's super popular. If you've got the Too Faced bronzer, you'll know it smells like chocolate, and this palette smells like peaches. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. So I believe it's actually going to be back on sale in the UK tomorrow, and a lot more of the Debenhams stores are going to be stocking it, so hopefully you'll all be able to get hold of it. As usual, I will link all of the products down below in the description bar. I'll try and add links for people in the US as well as the UK and Europe. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button below. It's free to do so, so why not? You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and they're all at ShowMe MakeUp. If you missed my previous tutorials, you can click on these now and it will take you to those. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!